Now, a New Times YouGov poll has found that 1 in 4 Americans fear a civil war could break out following the presidential election. According to the poll, which surveyed bipartisan voters, 27% say that they fear violence is very or somewhat likely after ballots are cast. The sentiment about violence following the election comes after hundreds of Trump supporters, as you might remember, stormed the US Capitol on January 6, 2021 in an effort to delay the ratification of Joe Biden's victory. Now, for more on this story, we are joined by Rich Logis. He's Florida co-chair of Republicans for Harris. We are also joined by Anand Ahuja. He is a lawyer and co-founder of Indian Americans for Trump. And let's get to you, Anand, first. What's your reaction to the... Actually, I understand that we don't have Anand at this point in time, so I'm just going to throw that question instead, of course, to put it to Rich. Rich, what's your initial reaction to this poll from YouGov?
So thank you for having me. It's my first time here, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Let me just say first to viewers, I do want to apologize to them for being someone who helped Donald Trump divide our country, as someone who's a former MAGA activist and pundit and volunteer. I think what the insurrection did show is that while most Americans are not violent, and I don't believe that they will commit acts of violence in November, it only takes a few people to create the kind of anarchy that we saw at January 6th. And I think that violence, it would not be relegated just to our nation's capital. I think it would be in numerous state capitals as well. And if anything like that does happen, that is going to be the sole accountability and culpability of the Republican Party and Donald Trump, because they are the ones who have deemed it as acceptable avoidable deaths and suffering. And they have defended and justified politically motivated violence if it helps them. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I left MAGA after several years in the community.
Right, Rich.
And the Republican Party is on the wrong side of life and death issues.
Okay, we have managed to establish that connection with Anand Ahuja, who is with Indian Americans for Trump. Now, Anand, we've been talking about this poll about people fearing a civil war after ballots are counted. What's your reaction to that poll? It's kind of unimaginable that we're talking about civil war in 2024. You could dismiss it as perhaps it's some kind of fear-mongering from the left, but these are Americans, bipartisan Americans, saying that this is actually a serious worry. What do you have to say to that?
Okay, I look into this from two angles. Number one, there is no doubt that there is a big division amongst Americans with respect to this presidential election. Either people, they are pro-Trump or they are anti-Trump. So there's no doubt about that at this particular moment, there is a big divide amongst Americans. After having said that, I personally believe that Americans are matured enough, and as far as the civil war is concerned, I consider it totally out of question because of a couple of reasons. Number one, we have learned, rightly or wrongly, whatever happened on January 6th, that is a big eye-opener that in America, this kind of activities are not going to be permitted. So irrespective of who wins the election, especially I'm talking about if Kamala Harris wins the election, I doubt it very much on the part of Trump supporters to again engage in the activity. They engage in the activity on January 6th. I don't know to what extent Democrats are going to accept Donald Trump as president again, because last time there were a couple of two impeachments were there, and Democrats practically never accepted Donald Trump as president of the country. I personally cannot speak on behalf
Okay,
of
Anand, we're
Democrats.
talking about
Again, though I doubt it
violence
very
here, but
much.
let me now try and get in Ray Locker. He's a political analyst and also a journalist. He's with us on the panel as well. Ray, what do you think? If you don't likely agree with this doomsday scenario, say, of civil war, do you think that we would see some amount of violence? We're already seeing this in that those assassination attempts on Trump. Recently, an Arizona man yesterday was arrested for terrorism charges for 3 shooting incidents at a Democratic campaign office in Phoenix. So how do you perceive these dangers?
I don't blame people for fearing that there might be a civil war. We had an insurrection on January 6, 2021, where people stormed the Capitol. And by the way, they were wearing Trump paraphernalia. They weren't Antifa. It wasn't some AI deepfake. It was real. And who do you see walking around carrying assault weapons and weapons all the time? They're not Democrats. They're people who go to Trump rallies. They're people who espouse what he believes. So yeah, if I'm watching that, I'm worried about it. And so it's totally understandable that people would feel that way. And Trump was impeached not because Democrats didn't accept him as president, it's because he broke the law. He tried to bribe Vladimir Zelensky to attack Biden, and he was going to withhold arms for that. And then he fomented the January 6th insurrection. And a number of Republicans, not enough, but a number of
Okay.
Republicans voted to convict him. So it's totally understandable that people feel that way.
All right. Thank you very much
Can I
for your
make quick,
time. We'll
quick
have to
comment?
leave it there for now. Ray, Anand, and Rich also joining us. Sorry, Anand, running out of time here. We'll try and get you back before November 5th to get some more reaction from you.